This episode is brought to you by Battleborn Batteries, the best name in the RV and marine industry. These lithium batteries are designed and assembled in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. The best solution for your battery anxiety. So go check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.
You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Beyond the Wheel podcast. Sean and I are just going to chit-chat with you today about one of my favorite subjects. Above RVing, the only thing I can think of that I like more is Disney World. And when you get to put the two things together, it is definitely magical. And it was extra special this year. Sabrina and I always come to Fort Wilderness Campgrounds here at Disney World. And this year, Sean and Julie joined us, and we had a fantastic week together.
Yeah, it was a really good time. I have never really been much of a Disney fan, but I think you and Sabrina have successfully converted me over to really enjoying Disney World. I mean, we did some pretty cool stuff that week, and the campground there is awesome.
That was our plan, Sean. We knew we knew if we would get you down there with us that you would have a good time. Julie was already a fan, a Disney fan.
Yeah, Julie's been many times, and I've been a few times, but usually only in short bursts will I go to Disney. Never that many days in a row for sure.
And I was going to say survive, which sounds bad, but you were here during a very busy time for Disney because the Food and Wine Festival was going on. So the park was a little extra crowded. We were here for, near that Thanksgiving window where people like pull their kids out of school. So if you had a good time this time, just imagine you got to come down with us every year, Sean.
Yeah.
Before that Thanksgiving window.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not that bad once you actually get settled. Like staying in the campground makes getting around much easier because you have a few options on how to get to the different parks. So I thought that made it easier that we didn't really have to drive anywhere or wait in huge lines because you're just dealing with the other campground people, really.
Yeah, I think the campground is a great option when doing a Disney trip. Like you said, the transportation, we were able to take either a boat to the Magic Kingdom. We were able to take a boat to that Fort Wilderness Lodge. We were, the bus system gets you to all the parks fairly quickly and makes it kind of easy, especially like Food and Wine Festival time of year when you're going there. And I know you and I were drinking at the at the Food and Wine Festival, and you don't have to worry about getting back into your car and trying to navigate back home, because if for anybody listening that's never been to Disney World, it is enormous. It's the size, we heard this over, I think, the intercom. I think they said it's the size of San Francisco. So it's it's not a small area at all. I mean, it's just, if you're a fan of Disneyland, but you've never been to Disney World, plan for as much time as possible. It's more to do that can never be done and more to see that can never be seen. Is what I like to say.
Definitely.
It's from one of their songs, but I stole it. I stole it and I apply it to Disney World.
I guess we should start talking about it should we start with the campground?
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah, and it's huge.
Yeah, even the campground's very big. It's 1.5 miles long and it's 1.5 miles wide. I used to know the amount of sites and cabins that they have, and the numbers slip in my mind, but it's a good amount.
I think I heard something like 390 or something.
That sounds about right. Yeah. Plus, that's not including cabins, I don't think.
They're set up in loops, so it's pretty easy, I thought, to get around there as well.
Yeah, it's a nice way. I really like the way how Disney has that loop system. So there's nothing in a straight line. So you're never directly next to your neighbor because of the loop. Everybody's a little off center. When I'm looking out like my dinette window, I'm not looking at my neighbor, I'm looking at trees. It gives you the illusion that you actually have more space, I think, than you really do because of that loop setup. I wish other campgrounds would adapt to that style, but I guess it's also uses up a lot of space to do that. As we all know, I mean, the more sites that you can pack into a place, the more your revenue will be. But man, it makes for a very nice experience. And it makes the campground for Sabrina and I almost like a retreat from the parks. Yes, we love the parks and we go in, we have a good time, but they're tiring as well. And when you get back to your, say you're maybe a hotel, there's a lot of people like running around hotels and the lobbies are loud and this and that. But when you get back to a campground, it's more like a traditional style campground. And we always feel like it's a little quieter and almost like a little retreat from the Disney mayhem.
Yeah, that's true. It definitely was quiet once you get into the loops. Once you get in your loop, it does seem very quiet for where you're at. I mean, Orlando, Disney, it's a very busy place. They call it Fort Wilderness for a reason, I guess, because it does seem like you're kind of out in a wilderness.
Yeah, they do a pretty good job. I think, like you just said, that Orlando area is intense. It's very busy. But when you're here, you do feel like you're you're out in the wilderness. You can easily forget that you're in a major metropolitan area.
Yeah. Now, we stayed in one of the older loops, and you're staying actually still in one of the newer loops. One thing I'll say about the older loops is that if you have a big rig, it's pretty difficult, not impossible, but it's pretty difficult to park in there. All the spots are back in. I don't think I would have been able to back in my 44-foot Cyclone, but with the 30-foot Arctic Fox, it wasn't that big of a problem. But I'm just not that skilled in backing up the bigger RV like that. But like where you were staying, there's plenty of room to back in those big rigs.
The site alone that we're staying in is 60 feet long by 15 feet wide. So that gives you all the space you need. But I will say, and I think you agreed with me, is that the roadways are a little narrow. Even though the sites here are larger in this newer section, the roadway is still a little narrow. And because of the trees and that wilderness setting, they really don't make it easy for anybody to back in, which is surprising because, like you said, every single site at Fort Wilderness Lodge is a back-in site. There's no such thing as a pull-through.
Yeah, it was manageable and I didn't think it was terrible. And then once you get in the site, though, you have a barbecue grill, you have a picnic table. Our site, we had a stream right behind our RV. So once you're in there, it's really peaceful and really nice. And you have lots of room within the site to, like, we went over to your place for a barbecue and plenty of space for that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And that's something that Sabrina and I don't normally do is barbecue all that often. We don't own a grill or anything like that. We used to when we gave it away. So when the sites here have the grill, we bought some charcoal at their camp store here, and you guys came over and we had a fun time with the grilling and just the weather's. This is a good time of year for weather too.
Yeah.
70, maybe 80 at the most was like 80 and sunny, but for the most part, it's been like 70 degrees. So we can actually hang outside. And I like what you said too about the stream back there. Sabrina and I always request sites with the stream because there's a stream that goes through and it kind of wraps all over the campground. So there's good possibility that you can get a site with a stream behind you. And it's really nice. One, it gives you a nice little ambiance, but two, with a stream behind you means that you're not going to have an RV behind you.
That's right.
It gives you a little, it kind of makes that illusion that you have more space than you do. There might be an RV on the other side of that stream, but it still gives you that little extra space. We don't have a stream behind us here in our site. So we're fairly close to the people parked behind us, but there is trees and it's wooded and things like that. But we do try to get that's a little tip. We do try to request the sites along the streams. We enjoy them a little bit more. We like them a lot.
But everywhere you go in there, it seems like there's a lot of mature trees. It really is like you're in the woods, no matter where you're at in there.
Yeah, I think the campground is one of the original places to stay at Walt Disney World. When they were building Walt Disney World, the campground, the contemporary, these are like the, I don't know, founding fathers of resorts, I guess. But I will say, too, that the campground gives you a great value for your stay when you're staying at Disney World. Yes, the campground is more expensive than most other campgrounds. It's actually not the most expensive campground that we've stayed at, but it is pricey. It can run you a good $85 to $125 a night, depending on which site you choose and where it's located. But you have your own kitchen. You're able to make your own food. You're Sabrina and I make our breakfast in the RV. We can pack lunches. We can make snacks, bring snacks. Disney World allows you to bring food and drink into the parks. You don't have to buy their food and drinks. It's more fun too, but you don't have to. So, the campsite is cheaper than a hotel room. You have your own kitchen, so you can do a lot of these meal preps. You're staying right, what Sabrina and I say, you're still staying right in the magic. You don't break that illusion. You're not driving through traffic. It keeps us in the magic longer, and which we like.
You definitely don't see a lot of cars driving through the campground, but you do see a lot of bicycles and a lot of golf carts.
Yeah, they're the best two ways to get around. I mean, I guess by foot too, but that's not very fun. Is definitely the guy. You can rent the golf carts here. You can bring your own golf carts. They have plenty of biking opportunities, and you're allowed to take the bikes on the walking paths. You're allowed to ride the bikes on the street. Speed limit's around 20 miles an hour. You and I, all four of us, have e-bikes, which makes 20 miles an hour actually possible on a bicycle. I would say that I think biking is actually the best way to get around. Sabrina and I used to rent the golf carts before we got the e-bikes, and we enjoyed having the e-bikes more than the golf cart, because bikes are allowed everywhere. Everywhere that you're allowed to walk, a bike is allowed, except for in the stores. You can't bring your bike into the store.
There's a place, everywhere has places to park them.
Yep, there's a spot to lock up your bike at every store. There's at the restaurants. And that's another thing to say about this campground, is that there's 2 stores. There's restaurants. There's a bar on the property. There's a show called the Hoop-De-Doo Review. There's horseback riding. They have Segway tours with the big puffy tires that you can rent and go like off-roading with them. There's canoeing. There's bike rentals. There's fishing rentals. It's a destination almost all on its own. We talk to our neighbors and other campers, and they say they don't even go to the parks when they come here. They come here just for Fort Wilderness to spend time with their kids and hang out. There's archery, and there's 2 swimming pools. One of the pools has a 15-foot slide. There's 2 hot tubs. Then there's like a kiddie water, you wouldn't call it a park, but a little kiddie water play station or play area. You could easily come here for a week and just do the campground and be entertained. Julie went to that sing-along, I think, with Chip and Dale.
Not the Las Vegas Chip and Dale, but the
Totally
Chip and Dale.
Yeah, totally different Chip and Dale.
And they also had, I think she said they had s'mores there.
Yeah.
And they play a Disney movie afterwards.
They have a very large outdoor theater with stadium seating. It really is a cool campground. And then the nice thing too is, say you're coming here, you own an RV, you want to bring maybe your family or relatives, they don't have an RV, they can rent a cabin and you guys can all stay on the same property. And
I saw also that you can rent an RV and there's a company that will bring it there and park it for you in your spot.
Yeah, you're right. I did see them, and I kind of forgot about it. But yeah, you can do that. You can rent the RV and they'll have it here. They set it up for you, and then you just
show up.
That sounds like vacation.
Yeah. And then the other thing I think that was cool about Fort Wilderness was it's very pet friendly. So 2 huge dog areas, and then you see them everywhere, people walking them. So I thought that was really good too, that there's stuff for the pets. And then there's also the daycare service that you guys used.
Yeah. Yeah. So the campground itself is, like you said, extremely pet friendly, which wasn't always the case. That's within the last 3 or 4 years. There used to be only certain sections where the pets were allowed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And within, I want to say the last 3 years, though, 3 years ago, they opened it up to the entire campground. So now the entire campground is pet friendly. You can have a dog in any loop. It used to be restricted to certain loops. I believe it was the loop that you were in, the where you guys were. You were close to the beach, weren't you?
Yes.
Oh, that's another thing. The campground has a beach also,
Yeah.
and marina where you can rent like speedboats and all that stuff. But I think those areas used to be like the pet friendly loops, but now everything is. And then, yeah, Sabrina and I use the best friend service. Belle is a small dog, and I guess she just has a small bladder. We don't feel comfortable leaving her back at the RV for extended periods of time. Best Friends is a 5-minute drive down the road. So we just, in the morning, we get Belle, drop her off in the morning. They open 1 hour before the earliest park, and they stay open 1 hour past the latest park. So their hours, you can't beat their hours.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah, they're open for like 14, 15 hours a day. So depending on your endurance, maybe you're in that park for 14 hours. I mean, they do offer overnight as well. You can have your pet stay overnight, but we know that Belle likes coming home every night. So we go and pick her up every night, and she's, stays back in the RV, and then we just drop her back off in the morning again. On the days that we do parks. If we're not doing a park, she just hangs out at the campground. We do the dog park. She loves walking around, and the squirrels are just like,
yeah,
they're everywhere here.
Everywhere.
There's so many squirrels, and she goes nuts over squirrels. So for her, Disney World is all about the squirrels.
And then one other thing I'll say about Fort Wilderness is if you go down to the beach at night, you can see the fireworks from the different places.
Yeah.
And they also have that electric parade, the electric boat parade that goes by.
Yep. It's the electric pageant. I believe they call it an electric pageant, water pageant or something like that, which is different than the electric light parade that they used to have inside the parks. I know a little too much about Disney stuff, apparently. But that electric pageant parade that we saw out on the water, I was reading about, and I want to say that started in 1971.
Wow.
And what the show that we see is just slightly modified from the original. So the lights that they're using, the patterns, the system is very similar to what you would have seen back in early 70s, which I think is kind of neat that they kept it. They preserved it. I thought that was pretty cool. They said the music's a little different and the rotation of what images are shown is a little different. But other than that, it's pretty much right on.
So from the campground, I think the boat ride to the Magic Kingdom's maybe 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, I don't.
And then we took buses to most of the places, most of the parks, and none of them were more than 15 or 20 minutes.
I think maybe Animal Kingdom is close to 20 minutes, maybe. I think that's the furthest one, I think, from us is the Animal Kingdom. But yeah, like you're saying, yeah, mostly about 15 minutes for bus rides. They now have a digital display at the bus stop that shows you what time the next bus is coming for which park. They show all 5, or I guess they show all 6 parks up there. I guess they got the 4 major ones plus the 2 water parks, and they'll show you the time that the bus is picking you up. So there's no guesswork. There's also the Disney app, My Disney Experience, and you can check the bus times on the app, like before you even leave the RV. So you can look and say, hey, a bus is on, be up front in 20 minutes. Let's get out of here and head down there, and we'll catch it just in time.
Yeah, that was one of the coolest things about that campground too, I thought, was that when we were driving down there, we got on the Disney Experience app and our reservation was there and you could check in right from the app. So then we pulled up to the gate. He told us what site we were in and we were just able to go. There was no extra paperwork or anything. Just scanned our Magic Band and told us what site we were in, and was seamless check-in, really.
Yeah, it's a very quick check-in because of that, because you're able to check in online before you arrive. You can even tell them what time you think that you'll be there, and if they can, they'll try to get your site ready early for you. Normal check-in is until 3, maybe 4. We told them that we always tell them that we'll be there early. We try to get here as early as possible, but we told them that we would be here at 11 and our site was ready at 11 a.m. So
yeah, ours was ready at 12:30, but we didn't get there till 3, so it didn't really matter. But but then if you do get there early or on checkout day, they have a parking lot where you can park your RV right up at the front by the buses, and you can go to a park if you want to while you're waiting for your site.
Yeah, and vice versa. On the day that you check out, you're allowed to go over and park your RV in their parking lot and keep it there if you wanted to go to the parks on your very last day, but you have to be out of your site. You can move your RV into that lot and then leave it and go to the parks and then come back and get it at the end of the night.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say about Fort Wilderness, and I guess Disney in general, but mostly Fort Wilderness, is that the staff is so nice.
Yeah.
They're there to provide service.
Yeah, that's actually an excellent way to say it. Yeah, they are there to provide service. I know we've had several interactions with cast members. They're always super, and they always go like above and beyond to make sure that the information that they're giving us is up to date. They call people. They have like little cheat sheets in their back pocket, and they can look stuff up for us, or use it, their phone to look stuff up. Every single one of them waves to us. You see them all over the place. They're driving golf carts. They're constantly like cleaning the place, doing work out here. I don't even know what all of them are doing on these golf carts, but every time they pass you, they've been trained to wave. Like it's just automatic. Every time they wave at every single person they pass by, and they smile. And we think that the cast members here, the people that work at the campground, are just the best. When you pull up to I don't even know what you would call that area, Sean. It's a weird experience when you check in. You don't get out of your RV to check in. It's all done by looks almost like a toll booth type of thing. And you pull up and the person comes to your window. And like you said, most of the check-in process is done on the phone. So they're just giving you your magic bands and your map and telling you where you're going. But they're always super nice too. Yeah, it's a great stay.
So then we did some cool stuff in the parks too.
Yeah, we did.
probably the coolest thing we did was the what was that called? The Africa Safari Trek.
The Wild African Trek.
Wild African Trek. And that's kind of a behind the scenes tour that you have to book outside of just going to the park.
Yeah, you do. You need a park pass. It's held at the Animal Kingdom Park. So you need a pass to get into the park. And then we booked and reserved this walking tour. So if you've ever been to the Animal Kingdom Park, there's a Kilimanjaro jungle trek ride where you get into these big trucks and they drive you around and you go through the savannah. But this was a walking tour, and you get a personal guide. It was only the four of us.
Yeah.
Which was really special.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. We had two guides that walked us around, and we could ask them any question that we thought of, when talking with about the animals. They would stop us. They would do feedings in front of us. So like the hippos came up and talked to us, and then they would bring in like an expert on that animal. So not only did we have the two guides that were kind of walking us through everything, explaining how things work, but then once you get to a station, they would have like another expert come in and answer even more questions. And I think that was Sabrina and I have been to Disney World a bunch of times. That's the best thing I think we've ever done at Disney World. That was so fun. We did the rope walk over the bridge over the alligators. Yeah. And it's funny too, like Disney adds a little extra, I don't know, ambiance, I guess, like that rope bridge. It's safe. We're wearing harnesses. You got, that click to the above us, so nothing could happen. But they make the rope bridge look like it's falling apart. So there's like some missing planks here and there, and you got to like make maybe an extra big step to go from one plank to the other plank. You feel like a kid kind of in a jungle gym.
And then they fed us in the savannah. Actually,
that was beautiful.
Little hut-like thing. And you sit on a big deck and overlook the animals while you're eating, which was really cool.
If anybody's listening and you do that, after you're done eating, ask to go see the other. Remember that little boardwalk that you and I walked down?
Boardwalk, yeah.
The guy had just mentioned, by the way, I think they almost kind of forgot about it. He was like, by the way, there's a little boardwalk, walk down there. And he said, sometimes you see animals, sometimes you don't. But we saw, I think, 2 rhinos. We saw an ostrich.
Yep.
And something else that now I
can't remember what the other thing was, but
And the great thing about this is that we could put our cameras away, our phones away. The 2 people that are guides also took photos of us. How many? And then they give you all the photos digitally. What do you think there was? 90 photos?
No, there was like 200 and something.
Is there really that many?
Yeah, 265, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you know that? It
Julie
said that
told
somewhere?
Me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Julie looked at all of them, and I think there was 265.
Jeez. Sabrina and I were like, that's almost worth the price right there. That we got great photos of the 4 of us together.
Yeah.
They took photos of the animals for us. They took photos of us crossing the bridge and action shots and then posed shot. I mean, it was like our wedding. It was like a wedding day.
Yeah. Then they give you a personal water bottle that you get to keep, so you always have water with you.
And we've been bringing that back into the parks.
Oh, okay.
And then filling them up at the water stations.
Okay. Yeah, that was really cool. And then we ate at Animal Kingdom Lodge. No. Yeah. at,
Yep, Animal Kingdom Lodge. We ate
at
at Boma.
buffet.
Yeah, that was
Really
really
good.
good.
And if you have any sort of dietary restrictions, something we didn't know until you and Sabrina told us was that you let them know, you let your waiter or waitress know, and then they'll get a chef to come out and explain everything to you and let you know what you can eat and what you should stay away from.
Yeah, again, that's one of those things that they do that like above and beyond anywhere else that we've ever been. So Sabrina gets an allergic reaction to dairy. It like messes up her skin, and she told the waitress that, and they brought the waiter out, and Serena's vegan also, and they went to every station, described all the food to her, what is safe for her to eat, and what she needs to stay away from. And then at the end, for the desserts, they made desserts just that were not even up on the buffet. They made the special desserts and brought them out to her, and they gave her more desserts than a person could ever eat.
Yeah, that was a big
I was eating some of them. Yeah. And they'll do that at every restaurant. Every it's not just for the buffets, but they'll do it at the sit down restaurants too. If you have some type of dietary restriction or you're vegetarian or vegan, just let the waitress know, and they'll bring a chef out and go over the menu with you and point things out the menu. If they don't have something on the menu, which as of this year, this was new for this year, every Disney restaurant now has a vegan option. Every sit down restaurant has a vegan option. If there's for some reason something that you don't see, talk to them, and they'll even make you something special and say, what do you like? And they'll make you a tofu stir fry or some, they're very accommodating when it comes to people and their eating habits.
Yeah, and one thing I never knew before is that we were staying at Fort Wilderness, but that doesn't preclude you from going into any of the other resorts and just looking around.
Yeah, a lot of people do pool hopping. So they might stay at Fort Wilderness, but they want to go check out the pool that's at Animal Kingdom Lodge. So they'll go there and hang out at that pool for the day. I'm not 100% sure if Disney frowns upon this. They don't restrict you in any way. I've never seen a sign saying that you have to stay at the pool that you're at. But one of Sabrina and I's favorite things to do, especially around the holidays, is go to the different hotels and see how they're decorated for Halloween or see how they're decorated for Christmas. They all put huge trees and they're all decorated differently. Each hotel is decorated differently. You and I, or the four of us, we went to Fort Wilderness Lodge and checked out their decorations and the property there. You can eat at all the other hotel spots with their quick service and stuff like that. Did we go to any other resorts, Sean, or was that the only resort we went to? Oh no, well, we went to Animal Kingdom because that's where we had dinner. So we went to Animal Kingdom Lodge. We went to Fort Wilderness Lodge.
I think those were the only two.
And there's a boat that took us from the campground to Fort Wilderness Lodge, which is pretty cool. There used to be a bike path, which was great, but it's temporarily closed for 3 years because they're building a new resort in between the campground and the lodge. So it's closed while that resort is being built. And I can't remember the name of the resort. It's slipping my mind.
Yeah, I can't either. But you can see the construction there.
Yeah.
And then we also ate at Beauty and the Beast's castle.
Yeah, that was cool. The food was great and the atmosphere was really cool.
Yeah.
You're in the Beast's castle and you have the I think they called it the West Room or a West Gate. I can't remember exactly, but you have the rose, and the rose is in a glass and it's digital and you can see the petals falling off of it. The Beast came out while we were eating and did photos.
Yeah.
It's really neat.
It really is cool.
We ate in. It's cool. Yeah. And it's a big room that we sat. The room that we sat in was like, I guess, the main dining room, but it's kind of set up to look like where Beauty and the Beast had their dance. And it's really nice. And just the outside of it too. You cross that bridge to get into it, and there's the gargoyle. It's a cool setup. It's just a fun experience.
And that's in the Magic Kingdom, right?
Yes, that's in the Magic Kingdom. That was part of the expansion that they did to Fantasyland. It was probably built time goes by so fast. It's been within the last 10 years, I know that, but I don't know exactly when. But that was part of that expansion when they built the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train car, the Beauty and the Beast castle.
And then we did the Food and Wine Festival.
Yeah,
lots of good stuff
and
there.
Too much. I don't know. I don't even want to know how much weight I gained just from that Food and Wine Festival. I drank beer at every country. I was getting the flights. You and I and Sabrina did the flight of tequila in Mexico Pavilion, and it was so good. And maybe somebody listening. So on that flight, remember they gave us that little tomato chaser, which I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody can write in the comments. Has anybody had a tomato chaser with their tequila? I've never seen that before. The tequila was really good.
It was good.
Tomato chaser, not so much.
No.
But my favorite beer, I think maybe it was your favorite beer too, was the Delirium Red Fruit Beer.
Yeah.
That was my favorite.
That was really good. Yeah.
That one was my favorite. I would say a close second would be the Kona beer that I had from Hawaii.
Yeah, that one's good too.
Did you have another one that you really like, Sean? I have one more. If you don't, I got it.
There was a cider there. I don't remember which one it was, but there was a cider that I liked.
That was from Three Daughters.
Okay.
Three Daughters cider was good. And Three Daughters, my third beer was also from Three Daughters Brewing. And that was, I can't remember the name of it, but it was a lager. So it was light in color, but it had a coffee taste to it, which is unusual to be so light. It was weird to look at it, drink it, and have a completely different, it threw me off, but I loved it. I thought that was awesome.
And those were in the America part, right?
The Three Daughters was in America. The Delirium was in Belgium.
Yep.
And then the Kona, was the Hawaii pavilion. So during the Food and Wine Festival, Epcot already has their World Showcase, and they have, the main 11 countries. But during the Food and Wine Festival, they bring out all these they build these like extra little miniature buildings to add even more countries. So we had Belgium, we had Hawaii, and we had Australia, places that aren't normally part of the 11 locations.
Yeah, I feel like there's way more stuff that you want to try as you walk around than you have room for.
Yeah, you can't do it in a day. You'd explode. You'd literally explode. You need a couple days for the Food and Wine Festival. If you're a foodie and you really want to try different places, the four of us ate at Morocco, and that food was really excellent. Good. Again, those what were those fries that we had, Sean, that were really good? Were they hummus fries?
Hummus fries.
Is that what it was? I don't remember.
Yeah,
hummus fries. Hummus fries. Yeah. If you just want to try the fries, they had a little stand. Oh, but I guess it's not there anymore. That was just probably for the Food and Wine Festival. But they did have a stand outside of the restaurant where you could just get the fries. The fries were so good.
Yeah, they were good. A little spicy, but they were good.
Yeah. And we had a nice sit down there too. When we had Morocco, we ate outside and we were like right on the water. It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I don't think there's one thing that Disney does that's not good.
And that fireworks show that we stayed for at Epcot was really good as well.
Yeah, that was really good. And now I can't remember. It used to be called Illuminations. That show just ended just actually a few weeks ago. And now the new show that took over, man, I'm slipping, Sean.
Yeah,
I can't remember what that show was called. But they definitely upped the ante. This new show, I loved Illuminations. I thought Illuminations was great. But this new show was really cool. Do we give stuff away or do we not give things? The stuff that they did visually up in the sky, we'll say, was really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to give anything away.
Yeah, go see that show. It was a fun show to watch. It was interesting. And there was definitely surprises that I haven't seen Disney do before in their nighttime shows. So
I guess one other thing I forgot to mention about the campground is all the people that decorate for the holidays. I mean, it's like you could go around at night to a different loop, and I mean, people go all out with these decorations.
They go, yeah, that's a good way. All out. They are spending a fortune on their decorations. I don't know where they pack all these decorations at. You know, for the RV, they must be bringing in a separate trailer just to set up and then using it to pick back up. There's somebody here now, Sean, that has Santa, the reindeer, and the sleigh and everything up on the roof of their RV.
Wow.
There's somebody else that they have a Christmas tree out that's taller than their RV. Our RVs are 12 to 13 feet?
Yeah.
So their Christmas tree that they have decorated must be 15 feet tall.
Wow.
And I mean, just I got to go and get a picture of some of this so that I can put it in our show notes so that people can see just how people just go, like you said, all out. I mean, it is like unbelievable. It's like something that you would pay to go see, like a little light show, not a light show, but you know how, and you drive through and it's all lit up and decorate. That's what these loops look like right now. And every one of them is like that. Sabrina and I are slackers because we don't have anything out. People get to our site and they're probably like, dud.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, like I said, I really wasn't much of a Disney person until I went and stayed there at the campground and really had the whole Disney RV experience. It changed my mind. So I think even if there's people out there that don't think that they would enjoy it, it's definitely worth going and trying out and experiencing it for yourself before you make a decision.
So you coming back next year with us?
I think so, yeah.
Nice. We'll have to set up some new experiences for you every time, Sean, to make sure that we get you back every year.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing though about Disney. I mean, there's that many different experiences. It's not the same trip every time, and you can do as much as you want, or kind of sit back and do as little as you want, really.
And like you said, like we stayed there, and sure, we ate out a few times at some of the restaurants, but overall, we did not spend near as much as we thought we would.
Yeah, the campground's a great way to see Disney on a budget, I guess.
Yeah.
If there's such a thing for Disney World, but it is. I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, even with all the food and wine festival stuff, and it was under what we thought we were going to spend there.
Yeah. And another thing for the food and wine festival, for if you're like kind of budget conscious, I always think that those flights are the best bang for your buck.
Yeah.
You get a sample of 3 or 4 beers or 3 or 3 wines. Yeah, your flights are a little smaller, but at least you're sampling 3 different flavors, and those 3 will add up to be more liquid than the single anyway. So I that's my tip is go with the flights. I always get the flights.
Yeah, that's definitely a smart idea. So Kenny, I think you definitely changed my mind about Disney. It was really a good experience, and I recommend Fort Wilderness to any RVer. Just go there once and have that experience, and it's definitely just a great time. Maybe it was being with you and Sabrina, but I also think it was just the ambiance of the campground is something unlike any other campground that you'll experience.
I agree with you, Sean. I think the experience of the campground is amazing. Having you and Julie there definitely elevated the experience. But I agree. I think it's if you're an RVer, if you like camping, I think just the campground alone is worth the trip. I think it's a destination all in its own, which is really saying something. I mean, that you can come to Disney World and not even do the parks and just come to the campground.
Yeah.
And have that as your vacation, your family vacation.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We hope to see you back here in 2 weeks for another episode. And we have a lot of good things planned for 2020. So stay tuned. Safe travels, everyone.
This episode is brought to you by Battleborn Batteries, the best name in the RV and marine industry. These lithium batteries are designed and assembled in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. The best solution for your battery anxiety. So go check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.